I'll let you know when it says.
How late does this run?
It'll probably be about 2 hours.
Oh, okay.
I mean, maybe not. Actually, probably. Well, probably
Let me
maybe
know when
more
it
like an
says.
hour and a half. Oops, hold on a sec. All right, it is live now. Tim, you can share the link.
Okay. And I'm gonna mute myself unless I'm called upon, which I guarantee that won't happen to probably question and answer. But I'm here.
Yeah. Did you find the link? Okay.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna. You know what? Before I do that, I'm gonna look on YouTube right now.
Email it to you.
I mean, I imagine what just look up Village of Homer.
Yeah, if you do Village of Homer on YouTube, it'll pop up and should say that we're streaming live right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I see it.
You got it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So we'll go ahead and start. As part of Governor Cuomo's Executive Order 203, part of what we're tasked to do is community outreach and to get public feedback. We've been doing that since last summer as part of a working group with the community almost every week. And this is in addition to a survey that we sent out to all residents of the village. We're doing this public. It's not really a public hearing. It's just, well, it is a public hearing. We want to hear from the public, but it's also a presentation. So there's going to be this is a two-part thing. Part one, our chief of police, Bob Pittman, will do his presentation about the Village of Homer Police Department. And at the end of that, he'll take questions. And then we'll, take a few-minute break and release Chief Pittman. And it will just be myself and the trustees. And then we will take any other questions or hear any other feedback from the audience at that point. And then we will have our finalized plan hopefully ready for our next village board of trustees meeting, where we will officially present it. And then we'll take comments and feedback for a week, and then make tweaks or adjustments if necessary. And then we will vote to approve or not approve it at our second meeting in March. So with that, I will turn it over to Chief Pittman.
Thanks, Mayor. Hi, everybody. This is Bob Pittman, your chief of police. I'm glad to be here tonight. I'm being assisted by Zach Pollock because I'm a little challenged with this technology. So I appreciate Zach here helping me out tonight. He's not going to be here all night, but he's going to help me out, make sure we get going. Again, like the mayor said, it's why are we here? It's on June 12th, 2020, Governor Cuomo signed Executive Order 203. And what this is, it's a New York State Police Reform and Reinvention and Collaborative Effort plan. And basically what we have to do, so I'm not going to read, there's a lot of information right here. I'm not going to read every word, but what he's asking us to do, anybody any municipality that has a police department, he's asking us to perform a comprehensive review of the police departments, our deployment strategies, our policies, procedures, practices, and develop a plan to improve our police departments. A lot of it's trying to get in community engagement, community involved to reinvent their police department. And each, like the mayor said, each executive has, we have to convene with the local police department stakeholders in the community to develop a plan. And there's a lot of things to consider when we develop this plan. I'll show you some considerations here in a second. And once we get these considerations done, as the mayor said, we'll do a proposal, let the public view it, get some intake, and finalize our plan and send it to Albany no later than April 1st. I just see on this screen right here, I just wanted to throw out a note there that this order is only for local law enforcement agencies. It's not to any state agencies such as the state police or any state law enforcement agencies. We were asked this, I was in a meeting last week when we asked why, and we never really got an answer. So, but what it's asking us to consider is our use of force policies, procedural justice, any studies addressing systematic racial bias or racial justice in policing, implicit bias awareness training, de-escalation training practices, law enforcement assisted diversion programs. It's model policies and guidelines, restorative justice practices, community-based outreach and conflict resolution, problem-oriented policing, hotspot policing, focused deterrence, crime prevention through environmental design, violence prevention and reduction interventions. To help us with this, in August, they put out a manual. It's key questions, insights, and considerations to help develop our plan. And what they ask, there's like 4 parts to this. And first part is what function should the police be performing? Determine the role of the police, staffing, budgeting, equipment for your police department. Part 2 is employing smart and effective policing and standards and strategies. Procedural justice, law enforcement strategies to reduce racial disparities and trust and build trust. Community engagement. Part 3 is fostering community-oriented leadership, culture, and accountability. Leadership and culture, tracking and review of use of force, identifying misconduct, internal accountability for misconduct, citizen oversight and other external accountability, data, technology, and transparency. Part 4 is recruiting, supporting excellent personnel, recruiting a diverse workforce, training and continuing education, support officer wellness and well-being. So develop our plan. What do we need to do? Do we need to make any changes? So let's take a look at what we have. That's basically what this presentation is about tonight, what we have here in Homer. Well, let's take a look at I want to take a look at the village, the history of the village itself, the village demographics. Then we're going to look at the police department, and we'll cover the areas of our mission statement, which is very important. Department history, operating budget, personnel, equipment, deployment and strategies, partnerships, statistics, policy, procedures, officer awareness. Start right out with the village of Homer. Homer was first settled in 1791. And it was a township, and it was formed out of Onondaga County. It was a very large town at the time, and it included which is now Cortlandville, Solon, Virgil, Harford, Lapeer, Taylor, and the southern half, so Truxton and Cuyler. In 1834, the village of Homer was incorporated, began passing municipal ordinances, what is approaching a little over 1,600 residents. The village, it's located obviously in Cortland County. It's just under 2 square miles. It's composed of residences and businesses. It's primarily located within the town of Homer, but a section of it is actually located in the town of Cortlandville. And that's basically from the 81 overpass on South Main Street south, almost to where the toll eyes used to be. We have main routes to the village. We have 81, Route 11, which is also North and South Main Street. We have 281, which is North and Southwest Street. New York State Route 41, which is Clinton Street. New York State Route 90, which is Cuba Street. The business district right now is mainly on North and South Main Street near the intersection of James, but businesses have been increasing in other areas such as North and Southwest Street. We have 4 schools in Homer. We have the high school, junior high school, intermediate, and elementary. 4 of the schools are, I'm sorry, 4 schools, but 3 buildings. The junior high and the intermediate are located in the same building. Our demographics, based on the 2019 census, there are a little over 31,000 or 3,100 people residing in the village of Homer. There's the population by sex, population by age, population by race, population by Hispanic or Latino, and we'll take a look at our police department. Here's a mission statement. I will read this because this is important. This is important to me. When I took over in 2016, this is the first thing that I changed. And it states, the members of the Homer Police Department are dedicated professionals who are committed to working with the community to make the village of Homer a safe and desirable place to live, work, or visit. Our mission is to partner with the community to solve problems, improve public safety, and reduce crime in a manner that is fair, partial, transparent, and consistent, all with respect for human dignity according to the highest standards of professionalism, integrity, and accountability. That mission statement means, again, it means a lot to me. It says community policing. This is a historical village. So I just want to throw out the police department. It's throughout the history of the village, police department has almost been here at the same time. I mean, 1980 or 1857, Simon Miller was appointed as our first constable, and his job was, along with enforcing the laws, he was also a tax collector. I'm not going to read, everyone, but I'm just going to read a couple people here. A couple of past officers or chiefs. You'll see there Chief Holland. He's still has family members that reside in the Homer area. He was a chief in 1910. And again, it's the police department history. It's important to myself. It just shows where we started and where we are now. Here's another notable chief, Chief George Vernum. He was actually a New York State trooper before becoming chief. And he served from 1932 to 1956. He's actually referred to as George the Cop. And he still has family members in the Homer area. Here's a picture of Sergeant, actually Chief Sampson. He came over from the sheriff's office. He was promoted to chief in 1985. He actually hired me in 1993 as a patrolman here in the village. And he retired in 1999. Chief Mack took over, and Chief Mack retired in 2014. Chief Helms, who is now the Cortland County Sheriff, he became chief, and in 2016, I became the chief of police here. Police department itself has changed a couple spots over the years. The village historian, the only record he could find, it was probably once located in a stable, horse stable, but it's changed its locations. It was once located in the town hall next to the fire department, little small brick building, which is now the rec center. And now it's to its current location at 43.5 James Street. And just village police officers have always played a role in the history of the village, and residents and village officials recognize their important role. There's a monument up at Durkee Park that honors the police officers and firefighters for the village. We'll take a look at our operating budget. And this is our budget for 2020, 2021. Total budget is a little over 600,000, and a little over 500,000 that's personnel. 820 of that is reimbursed. 106 of that's equipment and other expenses. Here's our projected budget for 2021 to 2022. Our personnel, I'll go through this, and what I'll talk a little bit about is the hiring process, the basic course of basic police training, the field officers training program, additional training certifications, in-service training, annual PESH training, yearly appraisals, yearly awards and accommodations, the retention and current staff. We'll start off with the hiring process. The first step to becoming a police officer, the minimal qualifications at this time is a high school diploma, and you have to be 20 years old. And you have to start with the written examinations. It's typically held annually, and you apply through the Cortland County Civil Service for personnel. And after you take that, they'll schedule an agility test, agility examination. If you pass that, you move on to the third step, which is actually getting placed on a civil service list. We have to hire within the top 3 names on that list. And if the candidate's name comes up, we interview them. And then the 5th step, if we select someone that we would like to continue with the process, we conduct a background check, and that includes fingerprints. And 6th step is the physical, 7th is the psychological, and all these have to be done and approved by Cortland County Civil Service before we can hire anyone. Recruit officers are then sworn in before the mayor, village clerk, or the assistant village clerk. They're placed on an 18-month probationary period. Recruit officers attend a police academy or a phase 1 or phase 2 academy if they've already completed a phase 1. And basic police training it's underlined right here, in 1959, state of New York became the first in the nation to establish a uniform basic training program for newly appointed municipal police officers. Basically, New York State was the first in the nation to come up with standards. And general municipal law, which was effective July 1st, 1960, requires all persons seeking permanent employment as municipal police officers to complete an approved basic course for police officers program. The basic police training, there are 14 training zones in New York State. Homer and Cortland County, we're located in Zone 6. Recruits here for Homer typically attend academies in Zone 6, 7, or 12 for their basic training. Zone 6 academies consist of Broome County Law Enforcement, Delaware County Law Enforcement Academy, Otsego County Law Enforcement Academy. Zone 7, we have quite a few of them here. There's some little asterisks behind a couple of them, and I'll explain what they are here in a second. We have Cazenovia, Central New York, Herkimer, Little Falls, Mohawk Valley Community College, Onondaga County Sheriff's Regional Police Academy, Syracuse Regional Police Academy. The asterisks are their pre-employment academies is, like I mentioned here a couple seconds ago, they were the phase 1 academy. And what that basically is if someone wants to become a police officer, they'll sponsor themselves to attend a phase 1 police academy. And it's about 14 weeks if they go full time, So like Casanova, for example, they'll start their academy in late August, early September, and that goes till the beginning of June. And the recruits go every Tuesday and Thursday evening for about 4 hours. And then every Saturday, I believe it's 8 to 10 hours. It's a long several months. And again, they get everything. They get everything that the full-time academies would get if, I should say full-time, but the academies, I don't want to say full-time academy. The academies where it's just one academy. They get the same training with the exception of firearms, active shooter, and a couple other training areas. So Zone 12, we have Corning Community College, Elmira Regional Public Safety Training Center, Southern Tier, Alfred State Police Academy. And Alfred State's actually a phase 1, phase 2 academy as well. The basic course for police officers stuttering here, comprised of academic and skill training in conjunction with supervised field training. All basic training programs are required by regulation to meet or exceed the minimal standards established by the MPCC. Over the years, it's gone over some changes. In 1960, when it was first established, you can see right there it was 80 hours. Right now, the minimal standards are up over 700 hours, depending on which academy you go to. The basic police academy is a combination of classroom physical fitness and other practical trainings such as firearms, defensive tactics, emergency vehicle operation. Classroom training, the recruit will learn various laws and how to apply those laws in investigation. They'll also learn use of force and interview skills and such stuff like that. Physical fitness training conditions the recruit for practical training, as well as aids in their overall health and wellness. I got a little bit into it here a few minutes ago, but the pre-employment, it's referred to as phase 1. And again, these recruits, they pay for their own portion of this academy on their own. And it includes everything but firearms, impact weapons, active shooter, and behavioral observations training. We've picked up officers for the phase 1. I'll throw this out there, it's a huge cost savings because that's about 14 weeks that the municipality, they don't have to pay the recruits to pay their salary. Upon completion of the basic course for police officers must complete a field training program. And the field training program. And before we jump into that, let me talk a little bit about the officers that we use in this program to train the recruits. We bestow a lot of trust in these officers to train our recruits. And these officers must successfully pass a certified field training officers program before they can actually train recruits. And they're selected on not only their experience, but their motivation, initiative, and overall ability to be able to instruct other officers. As you can see at the bottom of this slide, their ability to train the recruits is critical to the department's future. This program in 2019, it was redesigned. We modeled it after the Onondaga County Sheriff's Training Office Field Trainings Program, which is one of the best in the state. And what we have is 16 units of field training, and which the recruit retains. They retain the manual for reference later. So we in the field training program, it applies what they've learned in the academy to the field work. And they, again, work with a field training officer, somebody they can rely on and ask questions with. The questions too. The minimal requirements is 160 hours. So basically 4 weeks, or 40-hour weeks. And our FTO program here, it's based on scenarios and demonstrations. I'll throw out a scenario to the recruit. It could be a pet larceny at a store, and we show them how to complete a case to present to the DA's office. That includes taking statements, photographs, a whole investigation. And it just kind of helps them. It puts them in a controlled environment where they can basically relax and learn. And every day the recruits, we complete a daily observations report on them. And right now our FTO program, it doubles the New York State standard. We go from 320 to 480 hours. When we remodeled this, we incorporated some online training offered by New York State, which what we incorporated was the domestic incident reports, the MPTC use of force in service and deadly physical force, adult protective services and law enforcement, approaching Alzheimer's for first responders, the identification procedures, distracted driving enforcement, understanding and responding to child abuse allegations. These are all online training that we incorporate, and it just gives the recruit a little bit more training, more knowledge. One other thing that we incorporated is the mandated reporter training. It's an online training, and that's offered through the New York State Office of Children and Family Services. Because police officers, like doctors, EMS workers, teachers were mandated reporters of suspicion of abuse and maltreatment of children. So upon successful completion of the FTO program, officers allowed to work by themselves. I've been trying to make this a gradual transition. They're working by themselves, but I'll try to, put another officer out in another car. So they'll have somebody to refer to or contact. So after the basic academy, there's additional training the officers can get or receive. They receive radar LiDAR operator course, a data master, accident reconstruction, evidence technician, interview, forensic interview, instructor development, which is general topics, so they can teach recruits or teach in service. Firearms instructor, defensive tactics instructor. Here, our in-service here in Homer, our annual in-service, we include use of force, firearms, taser, active shooter training. That's all done annually. Other in-service that we have here is first aid, CPR, tourniquet application, positional asphyxia, in custody death awareness, de-escalation training, duty to intercede training, stop stick deployment, drug awareness exposure, and that includes meth manufacturing and fentanyl. All our in-service is conducted by New York State DCGS, which is Department of Criminal Justice Service instructors. We also have annual PESH training through McNeil. And what that is public employee safety and health training. And it covers topics like workplace violence, sexual harassment, bloodborne pathogens, stuff like that. We also conduct yearly appraisals. It's one of our policies. And it's a system of performance appraisals to assist in the career development training of each employee. We do it annually, typically in January, and it's for the previous year. So like I just completed the appraisals, they were for 2020. And the appraisals are based solely on performance observed or identified during the period of the appraisal period. We clarify performance expectations and provide guidance concerning core areas and duty of assignments, and basically set standards for employees' performance. We establish a means of measuring the extent of which the standards have been attained, and identify individual employee career development needs, and assist in the formulation and achievement of their career goals and objectives, and identify training needs. Our yearly awards, and I put up just a segment of our policy on this. I'm not going to read it, but I would like to throw in here with our awards and accommodations. We typically have at the beginning of the year for the previous year. Our awards and accommodations are based on individual acts, and we don't base them on stats like the number of tickets or arrests. It's all based on individual achievements or acts. Retention, it's historically the retention for the Homer Police Department has been difficult. One of the main reasons is salaries. The other reason is advancement. I'll be honest with you, I started here in 1993, all of an age of 24 years old, and I wanted to do everything in law enforcement. And there's limited opportunities in the village. But looking back, I'm very fortunate to return to the village, where I started. A lot of good people here, a lot of good memories, even though I worked here just a year. I'm very happy to be back because this is a good community. It's a very friendly community. Everybody gets along, and I can't say anything, negative about it. It's just, I'm so happy to be back here. But in 2016, for instance, since 2016, since I've been here, 3 officers resigned to leave law enforcement altogether. 1 officer resigned for another local agency, and another officer resigned for law enforcement in another state. That was actually in the news release a week ago. That was actually Matt Compton. He left us for Wisconsin. So what we'll do is, since retention is difficult for us, we have the officers sign a 3-year contract, and right there is the breakdown of the contract. If they leave within the 3 years, if they leave within the first year, they have to pay us back 100% of the training costs. 1 to 2 years, 60%. 2 to 3 years, 35%. It's a good way to try to keep people here, as well as recoup some of our training expenses. Our current staff, we have the chief sergeant, which is part-time. I have 4 full-time officers. Right now I have 3. We have 1 vacancy. 6 to 8 part-time officers, 5 school resource officers, records clerk or assistant to the chief, and school crossing guards. There's a list of my duties as chief, everything from the department manager right down to the internal affairs investigator. As you can see right there, there's a lot of jobs and responsibilities that I have. Each day it's, I don't know if I'm coming and going on some days, I should say that. Sergeant Winchell, and he's our part-time sergeant. And his he's got several duties almost identical to mine, from supervisor right down to patrol. So our full-time officers, their main function is patrol, deter, routine patrol, deter crime, community relations, enforcement of laws. The list right there. part-time officers. I'll throw out there that they attend the same training as the full-time officers, and their duties include that of the full-time officers. They are only paid when they work. They receive no benefits other than New York State retirement. They supplement during events such as Firemen's Field Days, Magic on Main, and our events like that. And it's really good having a part-time officers because they help us reduce overtime costs. We have school resource officers. We have 5. They're all retired police officers. They're assigned to a respective school. They're all certified. They receive, just like the part-timers and the full-timers, they all receive the same annual training. They don't receive any benefits, but they don't pay into the New York State retirement because they're already retired. Their duties include security and safety of the students and staff and school building and grounds. It's our records clerk. She's serves as secretary to the chief. She answers a lot of routine questions for me. People calling in routine questions from the general public. This is very instrumental to the police department. It keeps us going. But you can see she has they have a lot of duties right there. And very instrumental in the police department again. We have 3 school crossing guards assigned to the police department. They're all part-time. They work during the school year. They're located at the elementary school, intermediate school, North and Northwest Street and King Street. Their main responsibility is safety of the children at that crossing. So the equipment that we have here for the police department, for our patrol vehicles, we have 1 Ford Taurus, 3 Ford Explorers, a Ford Fusion. The Taurus and Explorers are marked units, and the Fusion is unmarked. Right now, the Explorers are assigned to patrol. The Taurus is assigned to the SRO program, but can be utilized for traffic control functions such as parades. Each patrol vehicle, the Explorers, are equipped with WatchGuard dash cameras, and they also have an external mic that the officer is required to wear per policy during their shift. Each patrol vehicle, they have stop sticks, a first aid kit, flares, flashlights, ballistic vests, and helmets. We have 3 police bikes, and I believe it was 2017. We started this program back up, and we already had 2 of the police bikes. We bought a 3rd from the city of Cortland. Our weapons, we currently carry the Glock Model 17. It's a 9mm. We have patrol rifles. We have Remington 870 shotguns. We also have less than lethal weapons such as tasers, pepper spray, and the extendable batons. These officers carry quite a bit of equipment on their duty belt. Right there, as you can see, the gun holster, the magazine pouch, handcuffs, handcuff case, extendable baton, etc. They also carry portable radios. They were property of Cortland County Communications, but they've since become the responsibility of the municipalities. Officers are also carry Narcan and tourniquets. That's a lot of equipment they're trying to carry in their belt with limited room. We also have crime scene equipment here. We have digital cameras, fingerprint kits, DNA identification recovery equipment, footwear, tool mark impression casting equipment. One thing I would like to mention, we don't have military surplus equipment here in the village. We don't have grenade launchers. We don't have bayonets. We don't have armored vehicles, rubber bullets, or tear gas. Our deployment strategies, I'll go through these a little bit here in a second, but we patrol, traffic enforcement, accident investigation, investigations, bike patrol, school resource officers program, court security. Annual events, participate, volunteer in fundraisers, community engagements, civilian training and safety programs, other public services, additional services, and communication. So our patrol, we have one officer on 24/7, so 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. We have one officer on patrol. The officers are not directly supervised each day or each shift. However, basically I'm on call. They can call me anytime. And I have it in here, they're directly involved in community relations. Patrol officers in any police department, they're the backbone. They're really the backbone of the police departments. Here in Homer, obviously community relations is big. It's key for us. Crime prevention, detection prevention. They also respond to calls for service. Parking enforcement, animal complaints, domestic disputes, neighborhood disputes. It's a whole variety of things that they're responsible for. Traffic enforcement. It's on here I have speed enforcement. And we get complaints and speeding in different neighborhoods throughout the village. If we receive a complaint, we try to address it. We have an officer go up and conduct radar checks. We also have a radar trailer that we've utilized to try to let people know as more of an awareness what their speed is. We'll throw that up in the spring, take it down in the fall. We also get complaints on crosswalks, and through a New York State grant, we do safety and seatbelt checks, DWI enforcement, accident investigations. All these efforts are there to reduce accidents, prevent injuries, and save lives. The investigations, it's basically like it says right on here. We're trying to conduct an inquiry. We're searching, we're doing interviews, we're collecting evidence. To determine if there's any crime had been committed or any other incidents. Our bike patrol, it's utilized mainly during late spring and summer and early fall. And they patrol the parks and other areas where patrol vehicle cannot travel. And we utilize them a lot during community events and parades. And we utilize them for hotspot or focused deterrence policing. Our school resource officers, again, I mentioned it earlier, we provide security and safety to the students and staff of all the school buildings. We have an evening SRO, and he attends all sporting events, activities such as plays, concerts, and school board meetings. SROs try to prevent juvenile delinquency through close contact and positive relationships with students. It's in our policy. We're refrained completely from functioning as school disciplinarians. That's not why we're there. We also try to formulate educational crime prevention and educational programs for the students. Officer Giles, working at the elementary school, he's came up with several safety programs, which he's passed on to the intermediate school as well. We provide security for the town of Homer Court, and their overall responsibility is safety for the staff and courtroom staff as well as the guests. They maintain the order in the courtroom. Our annual community events, we have several throughout the village here, starting with the Winterfest each year, Elks Race, Easter Egg Hunt, Memorial Day Parade, Little League Day Parade, Fireman's Field Days, Holiday in Homer, Route 90 Sale, Magic on Main, the annual 9/11 ceremony, Homecoming Parade, high school football games, and Small Business Saturday. We participate in several fundraisers. I participated in the chicken eating contest at the Elks last year during Winterfest. I'd like to just throw out there that I outlasted Trustee Clone during that. And I myself, I sat on the dunk tank during Holiday and Homer. And my own kids showed up. I think they were there trying to drown me, but it was all good fun. And it was to raise money for different events. We also participate Cops on Top for the Special Olympics and the Torch Run also for the Special Olympics. For community engagement, coffee with a cop, coffee with a chief. Typically coffee and the cop is first Wednesday, if I can recall correctly, in October. And the coffee with the chief, I typically try to throw that out on Small Business Saturday. It's a good way for us to have some engagement, some communication, some just talks with the community. Before COVID, I had talked with the mayor about doing that every Saturday morning. Well, I'm sorry, one Saturday morning a month, just to make myself available for the public. So they can come and talk and, any problems, complaints, or just come and say hi. But fortunately, due to COVID, that was put on the back burner. We offer a lot of civilian training and safety programs, active shooter training, crime prevention training, business crime prevention training, bike rodeo, car seat installation. We've talked with the high school forensics class, and we've also done crime scene preservation awareness with the fire department. Miscellaneous services. We do the drug take back in the spring and fall. We have a drug take back kiosk inside the police department, and we recently added in the spring, this past spring, the needle sharps kiosk outside the police department. It's additional services we provide to the residents. We also provide vacant house checks, zombie checks. It's checking, abandoned properties, making sure there's no problems. We've participated in the IRT in 2016 and 2019. We provided security and safety during these events. Also assisted with the security and safety at the Center for the Arts during large concerts. There's Officer Valentin right there with the Bacon Brothers. Last summer, we assisted with the protest here on June 6th. So we also have crime scene investigators, services that we provide residents, forensic interviewers for child abuse. We have a crisis negotiator, a fire investigator, and again, we have civilian active shooter instructors. How we communicate with our residents is through the village website. We have a social media page, which is Homer Police Department on Facebook. We utilize the radio station, Homer News, Cortland Standard, Cortland Voice. I gave you a plug there, Tim, and other media outlets. We also communicate through our monthly reports, which are, I believe, available on the village website. We've worked with New York State Commercial Vehicle Enforcement. We've had complaints about commercial vehicles traveling through the village. So we've been trying to work with the New York State Commercial Vehicle Enforcement Unit and set up safety checkpoints again, it's based on complaints. We've assisted the state DOT with vehicle escorts through the village. We have several partnerships. Cortland CD Subcommittee, Cortland Areas Communities of Care, Liberty Resources, Mobile Crisis, Southern Tier AIDS Program, Cortland County Drug Task Force, Emotionally Disturbed Persons Team, Justice League, the Cortland County Traffic Safety Board, which I'm currently a chairman of. Something good. So I just want to point out a couple of the partnerships that we have. We have an MOU with Liberty Resource Mobile Crisis. And it's trained professionals that'll respond upon a request over the phone or in person. Typically, they are generated through the 911 center or the police department. And it's somebody that's in crisis, but it's not really, they need to go to the ER. It's people will come out and they'll talk with them, provide support for the people in crisis. And again, we participated with the Cortland County Drug Task Force. We assisted them with drug investigations, execution, search warrants throughout the county. Our statistics, we'll look at them based on the complaints, the arrest and traffic stops, reportable use of force, excessive use of force complaints. Here's our total complaints from, I only went back 3 years, 2018, 2019, and 2020. Here's our complaints, our top 10 complaints. You'll see our property checks are it's a very high number. However, it's checking village property or municipal owned property, just making sure there's no problems or issues at those locations. Our arrests, 2018, again, 2018, 2019, 2020. The type of arrest, you'll see aggravated unlicensed operation, basically people driving a motor vehicle with a suspended license. They lead the arrest each year. Here's our arrest by race. Arrest by sex. Traffic stop statistics. And you'll see, I put down here the percentage of if you get stopped, what percentage of the number of times we've issued somebody a citation. There's a little bit of a drop in the numbers in 2020. It's obviously due to COVID. These numbers also, you'll see there's an asterisk down here at the bottom. These numbers also include tickets issued during motor vehicle accidents. And some people may get issued more than one ticket during a traffic stop. For instance, an officer may stop somebody for a headlight and in turn learn that the operator's license is also suspended. Therefore, there'll be counts for 2 tickets. Reportable use of force incidences. Got an asterisk at the bottom. All these incidents involved white males. 3 of these individuals three of these individuals were under the influence of drugs or alcohol. And all these were 4 of these were just physically restraining somebody. Really we've had no use of force complaints, excessive use of force complaints. Our policies and procedures, we have over 200 policies and procedures in place. We continue to review and update these policies. I get some of them from the New York State Chiefs Association, International Associations of Chiefs of Police. We also have adopted the policies from New York State, such as use of force and hate crimes investigations. We've also developed new policies, appropriate treatment of detained transgender individuals, unbiased policing. We have officer wellness, and 2016, we got a police chaplain, which is very instrumental. It's something good to have here. Somebody the officers can talk with. If they're having a problem or having a time of crisis, they can talk with them. We also have additional outreach programs available to the officers. So that was the breakout of the police department. But those list of considerations I had from the beginning, what do we already have here in the police department? And from the manual, key questions and insights for considerations we already have. So let's take a look. Our use of force policy, it's right from New York State. It's the model policy from New York State. And again, I mentioned it earlier, we've adopted policies such as model policies such as hate crime investigations. And we continue to review our policies, make sure they're applicable to the police department, possibly to adopt, review other policies. The training that we provide, we provide implicit bias awareness training, de-escalation training, mental health training, response to people with disabilities training, hate crime investigations training. And a lot of this, it's offered through New York State, but it all depends on scheduling. And we'll also take a look on how we can develop the officer's career to help serve the community better. Our recruitment, we are a diverse police department. We always try to hire the best candidate to serve your community. However, again, as I mentioned, we're compelled to civil service rules and regulations. At the beginning, I mentioned these steps, as well as we have to hire in the top three candidates on the civil service list. Law enforcement assisted diversion programs. I just became a board member on this. This is New Justice Conflict Resolution. And it's a program, it's been in Cortland County since the early 90s. And it helps people resolve problems through mitigation, arbitration, and process facilitation services, and alternatives litigation for resolving disputes. And it's approved through the New York State court system. Cyber justice program. We're trying to get this started February of last year. And it's something Onondaga County District Attorney's Office has. And it's a diversion program. It's a pretty decent program, and it's for use instead of sending them to family court or getting involved in the criminal justice system. It's a program, as it states right here, it's just to help to try to divert them. A lot of it's for sexting and cyber bullying. The participants are required to attend classes. This was always offered through the students of Cortland County.
Daddy.
What they did is
Daddy.
so, and Melissa, you're unmuted. I think it's Melissa. So this
I'm not unmuted, you would know.
okay, thank you. So this is always offered for students of Cortland County, but not a lot of students were taking advantage of it. A lot of it, I believe, was it's held in Syracuse 3 or 4 times a year, and it's just difficult for the students to get up there. So something we were trying to start here and possibly even offer it here in the town hall of Homer, maybe even the town court if it was allowed. But it's a future program we're just still trying to set up. Problem-oriented policing. we try to do that here. It's, to try to develop strategies to prevent and reduce crime. We try to analyze our problems in our community and come up with a effective solution to the problems, evaluate the impact of their efforts. We try to look past the traditional strategies and consider the possible approaches for addressing crime and disorder. We also have hotspot policing. And what that is it's hotspot policing strategies focus on small geographic areas, places usually in urban settings. Here in the village, we will get complaints about a lot of it. It's kids hanging out in parks, congregating at the community building, and we'll just make extra patrols through there, stop, talk with the kids, making sure they're not up to anything bad, and talk with them, and it's actually worked for us here. And again, our mission statement, it's we partner with the community. And Homer's always been and will continue to be a community-based police department. When issues are brought forward by the community or recognized by the officers, they'll be addressed, and we'll try to provide strategies so they do not continue. So let's wrap this up. And I can't stress this enough, and I've mentioned it before. Homer is not an us versus them community. It's an us community. We participate in the community. We're out there. We try to be part of the community. So how can residents help with our executive order? We sent out a community survey. And if we can get that back to see how we're doing, see what we need to improve, we put a deadline on it by March 1st. I've also reached out to the school. We're doing a student survey. I'd like to see how we fare with the students, because we do have SROs in the schools. And we're just looking for honest feedback and how to reinvent your police department, how you believe the police department may better serve you and your community. Any questions?
Are there any questions for Chief Pittman?
Hal, I don't have a question, but I have a statement, if that's okay.
Sure.
Okay. So, hang on one second. Let me just get away from my family because it is loud in here. But I wanted to say that I appreciate everything that Chief Pittman has been doing. I honestly have no concerns with anything that has been going on with the Homer Police Department. And honestly, on behalf of Black Lives Matter, I really do wish that more police departments were modeled the way that Homer has been modeled. And the truth is, it's been a distinct pleasure working with Chief Pittman. And I want to just make sure that he knows that, because it's not been our experience to have that with every single department. But Chief Pittman it's been a distinct pleasure working with him, which I know is not like it's not a popular position for an activist, but I've got literally nothing. And I know if I had something and I came to Chief Pittman tomorrow, he would listen without any type of reservation, and he would take me seriously, and he would take my concerns into consideration. So I just wanted to make sure that that was on the record, because he's been by far the best chief that we've had to work with. And honestly, if more police departments that we had to work with were modeled the way Homer was modeled, we'd have so fewer problems and so less of a need for BLM. So thank you so much for this.
I appreciate that, Melissa. That really means a lot. Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa. Anybody else? Tim, you got some?
Uh, actually, it's not for me. It is a village resident, though. His name is Mike Nutting.
Mhm.
He wanted to ask, I would like to know why the village has to have 4 vehicles. Seems like this would be a big expense. That's straight from him.
So what we found out is, it may look like 4 vehicles.
Mhm.
But one, we put over the SROs, and at times, well, I'll put it over at the intermediate junior high school, because that officer can respond to the other schools to assist the other officers. So we don't tie up our patrol car, our on-duty officer. And recently,
Don't. I know what you're gonna do right now. You're
well,
gonna say bad things about Ford.
no, I won't say anything bad about Ford. But if one vehicle goes down, it seems like 2 vehicles go down, and running one vehicle, putting miles on it, the wear and tear, the idling miles on one car is not good. So we try to have one vehicle runs for all 3 shifts. So we try to spread the miles out. And it's actually happened, believe it or not, quite a few times where we've since I've been here, we've actually ended up having, we've had 4 vehicles. We've had put it right down to 2, maybe even 1 at times. So
Yeah,
I
we'd pretty much, Tim, we would have to buy a new car every year, regardless whether we were rotating through, or because with all the miles, when you've got a car that's pretty much idling 20 hours a day or something like that, it really puts a hurting on them. So that's the reason is we're just trying to spread the wear and tear out.
Now, I heard the joke on Ford. Now, so I'm guessing one of them is a Ford, or maybe 2 of them are a Ford. Is there
All
another?
of them are Fords.
they're all Fords. And the
Did
mayor
it?
likes Fords. I'm a Chevy guy, so we just go back and forth at each other.
Yeah.
Okay,
Joke
so
with each
I
other
was
back
gonna
and forth.
say, we're at one point were they a different?
No. Well, yeah, they
We
were.
had Chevys when I first started, and then we switched over to all Fords.
Gotcha.
But we did have an incident a couple of weeks ago. Oh, I think where we were down to 1 car, so we had a couple in the shop.
Gotcha.
Yep.
But right now you're 4 out of 4. You're
Yeah. Yep.
okay. I mean, I think that should answer the question that Mike Nutting had. I'll hit refresh. I don't I do not see anything else that they put. But I mean, I'll just ask a random thing. So with everything you're taking from the survey, which is March 1st and April 1st, do you want me to be louder, Chief? Am I
No,
is
I
this-
can hear you. I can hear you.
okay, so I'll start over. So obviously today's the 15th. So 2 more weeks and then the surveys are due to you March 1st. And then the EO-203 deadline to have it initiated is April 1st. Are you gonna have like one more session to the public for like one final, I don't know, one more final run through, or is it gonna come in front of the village officials and then be pushed through, or what is like the
So I'll let you answer that one, Mayor.
Sure. Yep. So the plan is we sent the survey out. I think it was a good 2 weeks ago. Might have been 3 weeks ago. So it's sort of, ones are still straggling in, but we're starting to compile the data, and then we will use that and the information from the EO-203 group that we've been participating in, and any other community feedback to sort of put together our final plan. We'll present it at the March village board meeting, the first one. We'll present the plan, and we'll make it available online as well. And then if people have issues, comments, questions, suggestions, whatever, we'll take those for the next week, and then we'll make any changes that we see need to be made, and then we will vote to certify it at the final meeting in March, which is probably around the 3rd, I think it is.
Okay.
Although we might do it the 30th. So that's the plan.
Gotcha. Okay. Was it just gonna be you two for the most part speaking, or were there any of the other officials on?
No, I mean, it was really just for Chief Pittman to give the presentation and to answer any questions. And then he was going to hop off so that people could feel free to ask questions of myself. I see we have Trustee Finkbeiner and Deputy Mayor Clune both on that can help. We can answer questions and take feedback. Any other questions for Chief Pittman?
Whitney has some. I see Whitney waving.
It's not really a question, it's just a statement. I'm just impressed by the PowerPoint and the transparency, all the specific data. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Excellent. Okay, so I guess Chief we'll cut you loose, and then Pat and Ed and I will stay on. And if anybody has any additional questions or comments that they'd, and what I'll do is I'll stop recording on YouTube so that it can remain more private. And people can also private chat me questions if they don't want anything read out loud or anything like that. So thanks,
Well,
Chief.
Yep, thank you, everybody. I really appreciate being here.